Utopia with Kea Ncube on TransAfricaRadio.
Hey, we get into a Foodie Friday where we, talk to someone who's doing the most in the world of food. Hey, Sandile.
What's up, love?
How are you doing on this Friday afternoon?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. So today we're talking African cuisine.
First. This is the best part of your day. Say it. Admit it. The best part of your day.
The best part of my day.
Because I'm here. Say it. Admit it.
When someone likes it overemphasize
No,
the
not
importance
when
in
someone
your life.
anything. This is the best part of her week. When I walk into studio, this is the best part of her week. Trust me.
How are you doing, Lele?
I'm doing very well.
Thank you so much for taking the
lovely
time.
lady in the studio. Lovely, beautiful lady in the studio.
Thank you so much for taking the time to come through to us at Utopia on TransAfrica. Talk about you, your journey of food, and of course Lele's African cuisine.
Yes, thank you so much for having me, guys.
So Lele, who is Lele? Why did she decide to go into food?
Yes. Lele is Helen Muiponi Kapoka. That's my full name. Lele is my nickname. If anyone that knows me knows that I love food. But how I actually came into going into the business of food was more than just a love for the food. It's an idea that came up in around 2014. I had lived abroad for some time, and I noticed that especially in countries in Asia, people have a great appreciation for their food.
They do.
You find food, traditional or the national heritage food available everywhere. So be it in the street hawkers, be it in fancy restaurants, high-end malls, top hotels, you find the food there. And for me, that was a stark contrast to what I would see in South Africa. For us, we almost have this association that traditional cuisine can only be found in a taxi rank or in the township and so forth. And also, as people, we also tend to disassociate with our traditional cuisine as we progress in life from a socio and economic perspective. And I felt that I wanted to influence this. And so because I have a natural liking for food, I can hook up a dish or two. I said, let me
decided
turn
to make your passion for food, your love for food into a business. So it's not to say that you necessarily went to a formal cooking school or anything. You just decided to turn your passion into business.
And it was more around the for me, I wanted to influence how we perceive our food, because for me food is actually one of the key strongholds of any heritage. And if this trend continues, can you imagine 10 years time our kids won't even know what mukhodu is, our kids won't know what hard body is and so forth. So I said, I can cook, but I wanted to actually influence the narrative for South African cuisine in South Africa.
Wow, that is a mouthful, but everything she said makes absolute sense.
It does.
Like everything that she said makes me interested to want to know a little bit more. So how did Lele's Kitchen should come about?
Yes. And so based on this observation and my drive to want to make a change and influence this, I then said, what also perpetuates this trend is the fact that there's a low presence of traditional cuisine establishments in the suburbs. So
why do you think that is? Sorry if I can ask. Why do you think that is? Because you're actually right, in the suburbs here in the north, then part of Johannesburg at least, we are filled with a lot of
European cuisine.
True.
There's a lot of Greek and
there was one in a specific shopping center, but that closed down.
So why do you think South African traditional food, or our traditional heritage food, like you said, seems to flop so much in malls, like say for example your Sandton City, whereby we have a huge number of black people? Why do you think that black people move more towards the European foods and not stick to our heritage, where, like you're saying, in other countries, when you lived abroad, people love their traditional
their own food. I think there's a lot of influences. One of them, I think, we are yet to really clearly understand what heritage is. Heritage is everything. It's language, it's food, it's traditional attire. If you even notice now, there's a huge trend around clothing, African wear, and also making it very contemporary, because people are saying, we want to keep this, we've got beautiful designs, we've got beautiful fabrics, but let's put a modern twist to it so that people then can still consume it, in terms of they can wear it every day. And I think that evolution is yet to happen with African cuisine, because we haven't found a way that's cool enough or relevant enough for people in the suburbs. Because it's one thing to say that people should continue to eat the food, but we also have to avail it to them at their levels of comfort. And that's the reason why we chose the business model that we've chosen, which is a virtual restaurant.
A virtual restaurant. Yeah. Hey,
please explain
what is a virtual restaurant.
So when I decided to continue with the idea of having African cuisine in the suburbs and so forth, I explored several sales channels. So one of them was your typical brick and mortar structure, where you'd have a restaurant and people would come in. One thing that I was very clear on was that I was not selling an experience. So it was not going to be a shisanyam where you'd come on a Sunday, there's DJs and so forth. I felt that market was well serviced, and that's not an area that I wanted to go into. And so I said, okay, do I want to do takeaway? But the kind of food that I wanted to prepare was quality food. So I wanted food that was prepared with fresh herbs, quality ingredients, but yet still sticking to to the way that we understand and the authentic taste and so forth. So I then also noticed that there was a huge trend and a huge rise in the number of on-demand delivery platforms, such as, can I say?
Yeah.
Uber Eats, Mr. D, the Zuzis and so forth. So basically people were consuming food, but in a more convenient manner. And people were actually moving away from only ordering food for your typical takeaway food. So it was no longer just about the pizzas and the burgers and so forth. People were actually ordering food from fine establishments and consuming it at home. So I said, I want to influence the narrative, but I also want it to be relevant. And then I came across the concept of a virtual restaurant. I researched it. It's something that's actually quite new. It was developed in the US, and even there it's still in its infancy. So I then took it and I said, let me find a South African context for it. And that's where we find ourselves. It's still a journey. There's a lot of things we're still figuring out, like trying to explain to people what a virtual restaurant and why I can't come in and eat now. The one lady said to us, so I must buy data before I can eat. So some of those things, but
it's actually funny you should say that. People here in Johannesburg like convenience. So we are not traditional people anymore that go out of your own house or wherever room or wherever you stay to go and buy food. Let it come to me.
That's what we want, and that's basically what you have catered for. That this is what I want now, so bring it. Basically,
no true.
When we come back, we're going to get more into it. Your first official virtual restaurant, how it's going, the ups and downs so far, and this past job that you had.
Interesting stuff.
Let's talk about this past job that you had and what you learned from it, and what you may have brought your experiences from there to this.
Awesome, thank you.
Her name is Lele. She is representing her own establishment. It's called Lele's African Cuisine. She is on the Foodie Corner on this Friday afternoon actually, and you know what, we're learning a whole lot about this virtual restaurant. In the building we have Lele, who is behind Lele's African Cuisine. She's basically giving us a lowdown on what a virtual restaurant is. You kind of have. I'm still trying to process it.
Myself, I'm also still trying to process it. When she was explaining it off air, though, it made a lot of sense. I think it made a lot of sense. It's a very interesting segment that you find yourself in, though. Very not traditional. Very not traditional.
And that's the interesting part, because earlier I mentioned that if we want to change the narrative, we also have to make it comfortable and palatable to people. So, you're not going to force people, you say you must, but the next question then becomes, why must I then drive so many kilometers and so forth? And we're saying, we'll find you. We'll sell to you at the places where you buy. And people are buying off their phones. They are ordering from these on-demand delivery
that as
platforms.
Well, and
yeah.
you know, technology is actually getting a whole lot better, and you know, the way in which we do business now is actually coming down right to our phones. You know, we have your Ubers, your everything now. You just put adverts on Facebook, etc., etc. So everything is now coming down to your smartphone. You're just trying to just exploit that opportunity.
No, very, very true.
So how did you get yourself involved with these Uber Eats and Zulzi? Like how did that relationship come together?
So when I was refining the model for Lele's, you know, I knew what I wanted to do, and I knew why I wanted to do it. It boiled down then to the how. So when I came up with the virtual concept, I initially explored having my own in-house delivery. So I thought, you know, I'd get my own bikes. I even had the quotes and so forth. I'd have my own bikes. I'd have the guys in delivering the food. But then I realized, you know, because it's a new brand and it's something that people are yet to know, why don't I, you know, approach the likes of Uber Eats, Zulzi and so forth and list as one of their restaurants? Because the one thing that they already have is clientele. So the people are on these apps and they're constantly looking for something new and so forth. And so I said to myself, you know what, why make the process more complicated by, you know, managing the in-house delivery and so forth, whereas I can list with these guys, have the opportunity to actually tap into an existing client base or customer base, and I can then be another alternative and option to all the other restaurants that are listed on there. And that's how it came about. So I approached them. The first company we listed with was Zulzi, and you know, I mean, the guys from Zulzi can tell you it was a challenge of note. You know, we were new to this thing, trying to get the numbers right, because the one thing we're very passionate about is making sure that we have every item on our menu available all the time. It's a difficult one, but we try. After we joined Zulzi February 24th, we then joined Order In March, and then in April, or actually April 6th, we took on both Uber Eats and Mr. D on the same day.
Wow.
Yeah. So we said we're gonna do this, and I was really scared. I won't lie to you. I was really scared because I said, you know, these are big companies. You know, they've got a big customer base and so forth. And I said, you know what, this business is not going to reach the levels that it should if I'm going to continue thinking that I need to be this before I can. And I joined them, and I mean, we, in the areas that we service, we really giving our competitors a run for their money.
You definitely are.
It must be very fulfilling as, you know, a black woman when you are able to, you know, take on such brands and have them take you on as well. It must be very fulfilling for, especially like you're saying, when you are such a young and new restaurant.
One of the brands, I won't say which one exactly, but they basically were very skeptical. You know, they said to us, you know, virtual restaurant, what's that? You know, the decision went back to head office, and then head office says, oh, no, there are a couple of virtual restaurants on our list in Cape Town. Okay, then they came and they're like, okay, cool, we'll put you on. And then there was other things. I mean, it was back and forth. I think that decision probably went back and forth 4 times. Then eventually they said, okay, fine, we'll actually take you on, but on a probation of 30 days. If we, in as much as hear one complaint of one driver saying that they've had to wait or there was inconvenience or whatever it was, they would basically take us off. Needless to say, we didn't hear from them after 30 days. And we're still with them. We're still with them 4 months later, and you know, I'm happy, they're happy. It really, I mean, it's your comment earlier was fulfilling. I think for me now is I'm in the work mode. I'm not at the stage where I'm declaring the victory and the glory. It's really for me just to take this business to where I think it can go to. And there's no rest. So if it means then we list another partner, if it means new locations like what we've done recently, that's where we're going.
Let's backtrack a little to you actually, you know, leaving this full-time job of yours. What were you involved in before this journey of food of yours?
Oh, yes. So, I mean, I studied BCom Financial Accounting, you know. I thought I was going the CA route, and then I joined...
It's always the money people, eh? Always the accounting and financial people find themselves being bored by numbers, and all of a sudden they want to come to the good side.
Come to the good side, you know.
Were you bored?
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
Every job and everything that I've done up until now has allowed me to pursue this opportunity. So I studied accounting. I then started working. I was a graduate trainee for Maersk, a big shipping line from Denmark. I expatriated. I lived in Southeast Asia for 2 years. I repatriated in 2009. I joined, SAB. I've worked for, the big multinationals from an FMCG and food perspective. The past, I would say, 7 years of my career have been in supply chain. And it's that experience that has actually given me, I think, the greater skills that I'm using today. So I've been in supply chain management for some big FMCG companies, and also a big quick service restaurant company, which I won't mention by name. I have experience in supply chain in East and West Africa, and that for me gave me the opportunity to actually see how a business is built from the bottom up. Because in those countries, QSR or quick service or takeaway restaurants are not that common. So you have a lot of small brands, but the big brands are not that readily available. And so what we then did in my previous job, we would go into those markets with identified entrepreneurs that were actually going to be the franchisees, and we'd actually help them establish their supply chains in those markets. So it's a lot of those skills that I'm using today to actually build Lele's. And I always say, protect your CV, have a pattern to your CV, know what you're doing. And I knew quite early on what I was trying to do. And every job I have then taken since I made that decision that I will leave one day, but everything that I needed to do was to actually empower and equip myself such that when I go out onto the cold side, I would feel that even if finances are not allowing, but I feel that I'm well equipped to take on the task.
Yeah. You also mentioned how people are always saying, "Oh, congratulations!" what is this congratulations about?
It was a bit mind-boggling for me. When you say to someone, "I've left my full-time job and I've gone into business," and then or when they've, to be honest, I actually didn't tell people. And
they just found out.
So when they did find out, because I also felt like there was no announcement to be made. It's not like I'm saying, "Oh wow, the business doing well, come check out our new location." At that stage there was nothing to announce. It was just me leaving a salary and trying something that I had no idea would work. So I felt there was no news. And so when people would find out, they would say, "Oh, congratulations." I would be confused because I felt like there was nothing, to celebrate, to congratulate me on, because I had not done anything yet. But as we were chatting off air, maybe for some people it's probably just the, taking the decision in itself, because I know that even with me, it wasn't an easy one. There's always a better time to take it. I've got small kids, and so forth. We're a young family and so forth. So there's always a reason why you shouldn't take it now and so forth. So I guess it's probably around the taking the decision.
You took the step. Okay. We're going to come back.
Bold step.
That is a very bold step. Going to talk about you being able to juggle your full-time job with Lele's.
Yes.
Like, how did that work out?
Oh, yeah.
And eventually just like, I'm done. Let's work it out. This is it.
Yeah, true.
Her name is Lele. She's in the building right now in the foodie corner right here on Utopia. African cuisine is what she specializes in. And that is what we're going to be making our happy stomachs, extremely happy with as soon as it comes through. And before that, we travel to the country of Tanzania, Navy Kenzo, and the song was called Morning. 33 minutes after the hour of 3 p.m. Central African time. It is Foodie Corner on a Foodie Friday on Utopia, only on TransAfricaRadio. And the woman behind
I feel like you should start adding my favorite day of the week, because Sanila's here. I feel like that's what you should start adding that, honestly.
Well, we'll think about that. As long as you're paying me, that's fine. So we have Lele, who's behind Lele's African Cuisine. She has 2 locations, one in Fourways and one in Bryanston, the Bryanston area. How were you able to juggle, the full-time job and getting Lele's up and running?
So, call it a little bit crazy, but at the time I just returned from maternity leave. So, I mean, that year came 2014, something I had been working with in my mind, finessing it and so forth. Around maternity leave, I started then writing my blueprint, so to say. And I remember my mom had come through to help with the baby, and in between when the baby's napping, I'd be like yanking out this A4 thing that I'd been writing on. Hey, my mom used to get so on, and I'm like, no. I said, how does this sound to you? So she was like my sounding board. So when I went back to work in Jan, after being on maternity leave, I knew I was going to start in 2017. I just didn't know when. Series of events, and I actually said to myself, actually, I'm going to do this now. And so everyone thought I was crazy. My whole family, my husband, my mom, everyone was like, but why now? I was like, no, I want to do it now. My mom was back home in the Eastern Cape. I said to her, please, can you come through? I want to start this thing now. And I'm still working. And I need a few months before I can actually pull the plug and see whether this thing will work. So come through and help me out. And she's got experience in business, so I knew that she would be able to be me in my absence. And so I remember in the first month, we actually went on a pilot where we were trading on a Friday, Saturday and Sunday. So it was a 3-day operation. What I then did is actually in that first month, I actually took leave every Friday for that first month. And
your boss, did he notice that trend?
Actually, he didn't notice. But there was nothing.
I hope he's not listening.
No, he's no. Let's not go there. But so for the first month, I was with my business for the first full month, because I didn't want to, when I was at work, I was at work. When I was with the business, I was with the business. When I was at home, I was at home. So I wanted everyone to get their money's worth. I wanted my employees to get their money's worth because they were paying me a salary, and I wanted my business to get its money's worth because I was investing my money into it and so forth. And so that's why for that first month I did that. And for me, that gave me a great confidence boost, because what my mom would then do during the week, she would do all the stock replenishment, all the planning and so forth, so that by the Friday when we start cooking, everything is in place. So my mom has actually enabled me, or she did enable me to be able to start the business whilst I was still working. Without her, I wouldn't have been able to do it. The team that I have, the ladies that I started with in Feb are still the same ladies that are still there. And without them, I wouldn't have been able to, because they so quickly grasped the philosophy. It wasn't easy. I mean, of course, when you tell people, how to do things, and it seems a little bit too, particular and specific, and like, but why can't we just do it like this? I'm like, no, guys, there's a reason why we're saying we're doing, fine cuisine, because of these processes and so forth. So the support system that I had, my husband, with a small child, the nanny that I had and so forth. So those are all the people that enabled me to be able to do what I think now in retrospect was a little bit on the crazy side. I mean, I had I even had a time where I was sick for almost a month, and it wasn't for any other reason but because of the fact that I actually work 7 days a week. So when I would go to work on a Monday, someone would say to me, how was your weekend? And I'm thinking, what's that? So I mean, for 6 months, and not that it's any different now, I worked 7 days a week because we were an operation that ran till 9 in the evening at Lele. So I would literally, so yeah.
Wow.
That is a full plate.
That is a huge plate. I mean, you have your weekend. Do you enjoy your weekends off?
But
it's just busy throughout.
Just thinking about it right now and grasping the concept that you had work at 9 p.m. on a Sunday and you had to wake up on Monday at say like 5 or 4 a.m.
You have a small child
there. That is superwoman things there.
I tried. I mean, like I said, in retrospect, it had a taint of craziness to it. But I mean, with small child, I mean, I by the time I'd leave Lele's, my auntie would want to go to bed, so my son would be waiting, and so it's the whole, I mean, my son is still breastfeeding till today, so in the evening it's that and so forth. I mean, it got quite bad. I mean, I remember the pharmacist where I used to get my meds, he said to me, you actually need to take time off, you've been like on antibiotics. Like there was a time where I actually was on 3 sets of antibiotics, one after the other.
Wow.
But I didn't want to stop. For me, I'd made the decision and I was gonna carry
it through no matter what,
and that's what led me then to saying, finally, I actually have to quit my full-time job. At some point in time, one of them is going to lag. And at that stage, I was trying to keep. I was saying, I didn't want anyone at work to fault me and say, what's happening with this one. I was going over and beyond at work. You wouldn't believe. I think I was more efficient at work because I had the business than I had been before.
Hey.
Yeah.
So what have been some of your highlights, over the past couple of months owning and running Lele's?
Oh, the gratification. It doesn't come from the money. It does not come from anything else, but the fact that you wake up and you're doing something that you love. I mean, I've had some of the lowest days where, like I'm broke, there's more money going into the business than there is coming out. But I've never once said,
I'm gonna quit.
We're still pushing. It's still early days. I mean, anyone that started a business will tell you, I mean, the business is not going to give you anything. I mean, in the first 12 to 18 months. But the one thing that I have is great belief in this business. And as I said, I've got a great support system, and that for me is all that I need. And God has been merciful.
It is Women's Month, and we celebrate women like you, obviously, such hard workers. My wife once said something very interesting, and she said, she doesn't know how her story will ever end, but the one thing she wants people to know is that she never gave up.
Oh yes.
So
you one of those individuals. You never give up.
Yes, and you know what? I think once you make a decision, you have to see it through. And for me to then give up at a stage because I say, oh, you know what? We're not making profits yet. Come on,
it's the first year.
It's the first year. What were my expectations to begin with? But the one thing that I really, really have, guys, for this business is I have a great belief in it. The customers, the support that we've received in this first few months has been overwhelming. I mean, it's everything from the customer that calls, because they've got a complaint, but it's the grace that people have actually even done that, and so forth. People will say, oh my gosh, you are like the best thing that's happened in terms of food in this area. We've been waiting for this. And when you hear that, it affirms a decision that you've made. It affirms what you thought was right, because it's one thing for me to think that we need African cuisine in the burbs, and then everyone else to say, I'm okay, I'm fine driving wherever to get it. But when you hear people saying, oh my gosh, this is such a cool idea, it gives you the energy to go on. It gives you the energy to put that other penny in, the other one that you'd put in that stash. And you're like, okay, come, you're going in as well,
So when we come to Lele's, one either in Fourways or Bryanston, what can we choose from? So what does your menu look like?
Yes. And so when you will find Lele in the virtual space, remember?
Yes. Well.
Yes.
Let's not forget the virtual space.
So in the virtual space, you will go into your app. So let's say you open your Zuzi app, and then you'll find Lele's African Cuisine. On our menu right now is made up of 4 main items. So we've got mkhodu, we've got lamb stew, we've got hard body chicken, and we've got oxtail. All our meals are served with a choice of 3 sides: pap, samp, or dombolo, and it's all served with 3 veggies, so butternut, spinach, and chakalaka, all-time favorite. Wow. The one thing that we are constantly working on is adding excitement to our menu. We were quite clear in the beginning that we'd keep it simple. So people say, but how come you don't have this? And you say, we do want to have it, but we're starting, and the one thing we want to guarantee is availability. And the moment we start off with a wide menu, we'll then compromise on availability. So we said, keep it simple, ensure availability, and then with time, add on items. As a result, actually, we launched a winter special where we're actually doing a meaty bone soup with the dombola, which is doing very well, and we can see we can manage. And so as time goes, and I mean, we take the feedback and the inputs that our customers, because when someone normally says, why don't you have more, I'll normally say to them, what would you like to have? Because then I'm collecting, I mean, it's free data, it's free information that I can use then to base what next I will put on the menu. So please, guys, watch the space, more items and more menus.
Please come to the south of Johannesburg. I live in the south of Johannesburg. I mean, if I could just sit at home and just open my phone and just be like, I know what I want today.
Oh yeah.
Please come to the south of Johannesburg.
We have aspirations to go beyond Johannesburg. Aspirations are to go nationwide, guys. I mean,
beyond the borders of South Africa.
Beyond the borders of South Africa. I mean, I've had the great opportunity and pleasure to travel, quite extensively on the continent as well. And I love, I mean, the foods that I've encountered and so forth. So when I think of, jollof rice, West Africa, tilapia, when I think of all these things, that we could do with the menu, there is so many opportunities. So we're taking over Joburg, we're taking over South Africa, and we're going beyond, guys. African cuisine right now is still restricted to what we have, but there's so much more.
So you're definitely looking at bringing in like West African cuisine,
definitely.
like your jollof and your tilapia,
and your plantain, everything, everything.
Cannot wait for Lele to take over.
Oh yeah, and it's just a function of time, guys, because the one thing that we've been very careful on is quality. We stand for quality in everything that we do, and so if we bring it on, we have to make sure that we've got the right people that can make the food. We can actually authentically claim that we are serving, a tilapia or a jollof rice or pounded yam or whatever it may be. Those are the things that we want to do. So yes, watch this space, guys, and apologies for the temporary disappointment in terms of the unavailability of those items, but we're working on it.
I think that's great, though, that it's a matter of quality over quantity, and most people just kind of forget that, and food is a very important thing in someone's life. So congratulations to you for actually putting that over anything else. So Lele, I want to know, what has your favorite food moment been with Lele's African cuisine?
Lele's got a very contagious smile.
She does.
Like she's been smiling the whole day here, like the whole time she's been shooting. It's a very contagious smile. I won't lie. If this is how your food is given to me every day, I will gladly take it. With a smile like that.
With love. You cook with love, My greatest food moment.
Or your favorite food moment so far with Lele?
Writing the recipes. I took time. I firstly I based it on what I was already doing. So when I do make a lamb stew, how I'd make it, and I wrote those down. So that was the first step. And then I said, okay, fine. If I then now need to make this now for 100 people, what do I do? What do I tweak? What do I change? And not necessarily to say that when you make more, you should compromise, So for instance, I actually went and I said, I'm actually going to take an approach where I'll only use fresh herbs. I mean, my lamb stew is all fresh herbs and so forth. So a lot of our dishes are prepared with fresh herbs. So it's fresh curry leaves. It's actually, we take the time and we literally take off each, whatever little petal of it and so forth. And those are things that even when I used to cook for my own family, I didn't use fresh herbs all the time. But I said, if I'm going to give this brand identity, there's going to be unique identifiers that can actually differentiate the food from one source to another. So those are some of the things. So writing the recipes, and my family went through quite a bit of of turmoil during this period, because every time I would practice any change that I would make to the recipe, of course that's what we had for dinner. So if
nothing
that,
can go to waste.
So if that week we're practicing lamb stew, they were having lamb stew that whole week. If that week I was practicing oxtail, so every dish that I have on my menu, I've written down all the menus. I have personally practiced through and through how the end product has been. And with our team, we still today will tweak, we'll say, what, why don't you try this?
You can try this,
try this and so forth. But we try and not make too bold a change such that it changes the customer experience and so forth. But in the beginning, we did a lot of that because we said, we still new, we still have a chance and so forth. And I think we're quite comfortable with the recipes that we currently have. So it's having Lele's and having recipes that we can say we finessed over time.
Hey,
shout out to Zuzi.
Yes.
She bought the food in the studio. The smell is
amazing.
It's something else.
Amazing.
Like something else in the studio now.
What have you prepared for us, actually?
Okay, so we've actually brought through mkhodu. We've brought through some oxtail, some lamb, and some hot butty chicken. We've brought through some stamp, and we've brought through some pap for you today.
We are spoiled.
So yeah, so it's a spread, so that you guys have a taste of everything. But more than anything, so that you actually have the experience of what it would be to actually order and receive the food. And as I said to you guys earlier, I wasn't even there, so it's not even a case of I packed it nicely and it was pristine. The guys received the order and they packed it as they would for anyone else. So this is the customer experience that anyone that orders from Lele's would get.
Okay.
Once again, your establishments are in Fours and Bryanston.
Yes.
And then are you on social media as well?
We are on social media. So on Facebook, we are Lele's African Cuisine. Lele's with an apostrophe S. Yeah, Lele's with an apostrophe S. On Instagram, we are Lele's _African_cuisine. The one thing that I would really love to, we've started on a model, as I said, that is still in its infancy, even where it came from, which is the US and so forth. We want to finesse this model. When we spoke earlier about, what is a virtual restaurant and so forth, we need to continue to define it in the South African context, so if it then means that we need to start introducing things like an option for people to pick up and so forth, we'll evolve to that as well. We have to listen to what the customer wants and what people want and so forth. We're still purely virtual for now, but we will explore whatever makes sense and so forth, because at the end of the day, we want to take over Joburg, we want to take over South Africa, we want to take over Africa, and we want to take over the globe. So we're in the business of building a great business model that can be replicated, because with new locations, it means that you must be able to maintain the standard from the originating location. So with every new one, that's a task that we are taking, that we want to maintain quality and the brand.
Please come to Centurion.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Oh yeah. Sure.
But not until we've done the South.
That's what I need to come to Centurion when mom is feeling lazy to know to do her thing. I know I have another mom.
For sure.
I think there's going to be one of those situations again where the wife gets angry.
Yes.
Because I'm like, no, don't cook. It's fine. Let's just order from Lele. It's fine.
Oh yeah.
Like, no. Just fine. Just let's your phone.
Yes.
Let's just order.
Guys, Lele's for everyone, hey?
Yeah.
Lele's is that lady that is actually permitted in households.
Thank you.
Allow me, ladies out there, allow me a place in your house. I will be a good cohabitant.
You are permitted in my mom's house. It is all good. So one last time, how can we reach you on social media and how can we order?
Awesome.
Yes.
So Lele's African Cuisine is available on your on-demand delivery platforms. So you can download either the Uber Eats, Zuzi, Mr. D, and Order In apps. You can download these apps on Google Play. You can download them on the iStore. And we are also on social media. Facebook, we are Lele's African Cuisine. On Instagram, we are Lele's _African_ Cuisine. And on Twitter, we are Lele's AFR Cuisine, Lele's Af Cuisine. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you for coming through. Thank you for letting us know who Lele is, and of course more about Lele's African Cuisine.
Yes.
This is TransAfrica Radio.